We come to you at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are not going to be going live after the game, mainly due to the fact I just, I can't. I'm not. Sorry about that. I dropped my pencil. I am not going to subject myself of staying up that late to do a post-game show for this season. So we are live. We are here. I do expect other people to be like, oh, I didn't know you were going live at 4. Well, that's why you got to turn on notifications. We do come to you, though, with some breaking news right out of the gate. Breaking out from Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. He says the latest on LSU running back Trey Holly is that today in court he pleaded non-guilty, and now his case is scheduled for a status conference for July the 3rd. That's not necessarily great, but it's good to have that in July. His attorney, Mike Small, said that he hopes that the trial will be short, and he's confident the jury will find Trey Holly not guilty. So we'll talk about that coming out of the break. What I will tell you, as we mentioned last week, literally, guys, I swear to God, you would think that I'm making this shit up as I go. But I literally, last Tuesday, a week ago from today, came on this show and said the best case scenario would be that he got a new court date for early July. Today, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate says they have a new court date for July the 3rd. It's not trial. So, trial could begin in August, which leads me to maybe potentially a Rufino's rant. We will talk about that. We will continue to keep you in the loop for LSU running back Trey Holly. The portal did open today. With that, I guess just the status of the portal, I'm going to tell you what I think that this team needs. We've talked about this before, but now that it's here, now that spring is over, we have to talk about this at length. Now, I understand that Brian Kelly stated and said that we're only going after defensive tackles. I think that you need more than that. So we will touch on that as well. We'll talk about LSU baseball. Can they get things turned around? Can they start tonight in getting things turned around? We'll touch on that as well. And at the end of the show, since we are live at a different time, we will get to some of your comments as well. Cole Adams says status conference. Basically, how do I explain what a status conference is? I probably should just give you the legal definition of it because it'll probably give you a better understanding of that. But basically, it's when you get together in all aspect to get another trial date. So a status conference is in a criminal case is a meeting between the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney. So I will get to it and what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to meet with prosecutors on July the 3rd, and I do think that if they do go to trial, it will be done in August. What I told you literally a week ago, what I think is going to happen. I think Mike Small is going to touch base with LSU. They're going to see if this gets reduced down to misdemeanors, that if he would be allowed back into school, and if he takes a plea deal, which that doesn't mean anything. A plea deal could mean community service, but he could plead no contest, and to 2 misdemeanors, those charges can be reduced. Now, people who are not familiar with the law, and I've heard a lot of people in media, well, Blakey's got a gun charge. Guys, with all due respect, you're in the state of Louisiana, and gun charges are they are what they are. I mean, they are what they are. So, basically, they're going to be having a meeting with the prosecutors on July the 3rd. There are different statuses of status conferences. We'll just have to see and monitor. But I'll give you what I think. And like I told you last Tuesday, I think that was the best case scenario. I think the best case scenario will be having a trial in early August and then Trey Holly being reinstated possibly. So we'll see. But he's still got a long way to go. Cole Adams says, is Jacobe Matthews coming home? So let me remind everybody, and I hear everybody say, oh, well, he can't get an appeal. Okay. You cannot transfer in conference in the spring window. I do not think that he will come here. Doesn't mean as of right now, I feel that he will not. I think that the team that will reach out to him first, now that he is officially in the portal, is Ohio State. I'm going to be honest with you, I actually have that one confirmed. I don't know if he's going there, but if he does want to come back home, he's got a lot of things that he's got to do, appeal, and all these kinds of other things. So, if I'm Mike Elko, I would not let him in conference, because they still got to sign off on some of these things too, if it's an appeal. So we'll see. So let me just get out in front of Jacobe Matthews. No, I do not personally, as of right now. Now, could that change tomorrow? Can that change today? 1,000%. But I asked somebody this morning, and they said, guys, basically they said he can't transfer unless he wanted to do an appeal, which if he does an appeal, do other teams in the SEC get involved? So No Cap Sports Talk with a $4.99 super chat says, let's be honest about Sage Ryan. He's second on the depth chart or transfer. We must get McBride on the field ASAP. And Carmani Mlan, does that sound good to you? Well, Carmani Mlan, okay, let me take the last part first. Carmani Mlan is not officially in the portal. Not yet anyway. So I'm not saying that the young gentleman from Miami is not telling the truth, but I don't know who that person is that is reporting it. I got confirmed today, or about 35 minutes ago or so, when we got in pre-show production, I got confirmed that he is not in the portal right now. Like, his name is not in the portal. That doesn't mean he didn't do the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. So, yeah. And no, I don't know if you go after Carmani Mlan. Would there be would they talk about it? Probably. But I don't know. He's not in there right now. So I'm not going to speculate on that. Jamie Wittenberg says, would it I don't know what that means. Father Abear says, Jacobe Matthews, Citizens are in the portal. Yeah, so Trevante Citizen, who we're actually going to talk about here in a minute, I do think is going to get somewhat of a push from the University of Florida. I don't know if he's coming here. For what it's worth, I do think that LSU thinks that Trey Holly is going to be back. I think it's a strong gamble, a very strong gamble. And we'll talk about it. That's actually what my Rufino's rants was about, because do you take another running back in the portal and then ruffle feathers? I think it's something that we need to talk about too. We got to talk about it too. Joseph Austin said, this is much better than that lame afternoon show. Yeah. Yeah. Getting back to this, he said, No Cap Sports Talk. Thank you for telling me that I forgot the first one. Sorry about that. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry. We must get McBride on the field ASAP. Actually, you know what? Let me say this right now. Guys, I don't come out here and just loosely say stuff. I don't come out here and say, I'm just going to give you my opinion, my God's honest 1,000% opinion. I don't really care, because all this thing with Sage Ryan is because it looked like he busted two coverages. I still believe he busted the second one. I mean, look, we can agree to disagree. That's fine. You can say that Blake's wrong. That's completely okay. I don't really give two Rudy Poos who blew the coverage, right? I could care less. could 1,000% care less. I don't care who blows it. Now, I do think Deshaun McBride, I've told you this before. I've told you this even in the recruiting process last year. The number one player in the state for me last year was Deshaun McBride, and it wasn't remotely close. I didn't go watch other kids because I didn't think that they were better than Deshaun McBride. What happened with McBride for me was a couple of things. I'm really close with his head coach. He told me that this kid's going to be top-tier SEC material. So I started watching his film. And normally when coaches tell you that, normally it doesn't transpire that way. Normally they're not as good as their coaches say that they are. But I know Brett. Brett called me. I went out there to watch him play. I thought at every single game that he played in, he was the best player on the field every single time. I think he's the best player that LSU got last year. Now, does he get reps? I think he will get reps with the ones. And I think that he'll get reps with the ones in August. However, I don't know if he comes out of the gate starting. And I think that you need to prepare that he won't be. But I do think that he's going to get reps. And I do think that if things got bad enough, I do think that there would be, how do I want to say this? I think that there's already been conversations about starting a freshman game one at that position. All of that being said, I don't know if Brian Kelly will do that or allow that, really. Because you're playing against USC, and if Lincoln sees that you have a freshman, he's going to attack him. That's what Lincoln will do. So I do think that you could start him in week 2, but rotate in week 1. And if things got bad enough, yeah, I think you could play him. You could play him. Ball Y'all says, Blake, do you think that Gabe Rutherford can continue his success going into the fall? I do think that he can continue his success. See, but here's the problem. I don't think it's fair for Gabe because Brian Kelly, I do think it's fair and I don't think it's fair. What I think is fair is you got to put him up against Will Campbell and see what he can do. I personally did not see him against Will Campbell all year, like all spring, not once. I saw him against Bordelon. I saw him against Tyree Adams. 55, I think maybe Mabinga, maybe if I'm not mistaken. I forget who number 55 is. Forgive me. We did see him once against Miles Frazier that I remember that he hit a little dip and rip on and got a sack. But he's going to play that weak side defensive end, backer, outside backer. Do I think he can translate it into the fall? Yes. But we need to see him do it first. And I think we need to see him do it in practice. If he can beat Will Campbell once or twice, yeah, I do think that he can make a push and get a package for himself. But sometimes we got to bring some guys along slowly, but I do think you got to put him on the field. All right, a couple more before we get rolling. Mike T says Brian Kelly gone have to come off of that experience shit, play the best players. Yeah, so about that, I don't disagree with him about the experience thing completely. What I would say is that historically, when you play and start a lot of guys that have experience, 9 times out of 10, it does bode well for you. But I do think Deshaun McBride is a different case. Breaking news, this coming from Matt Zenitz of 247. Carmani Mlan has entered the portal. So now I guess we can talk about it. I was not going to talk about it until somebody reputable said it. But nevertheless, there he is. Carmani Mlan. I wonder why. I mean, of all people that wouldn't play him, I wonder why Dion didn't. You could if you wanted to. No Cap Sports Talk says PJ Woodland must get out of that number 27. And who do you think will get number 7 this year? Well, doesn't Will Campbell technically have number 7? They could give it to somebody. You know what I mean? They could give it to somebody. I don't know. Guys, I'm so over the number thing outside of 18. I really am. I really am. All right, one more. Big Cojones Kelly. Ryan says the past 2 recruiting classes have outshined the upperclassmen, excluding the 24 class because we don't know yet. It's true. It's true. I lied. One more. Mike T says if the experience, and thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for the super chat. Mike T says if the experienced players are making freshman mistakes, let's just play the freshmen. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But listen to me. Listen to your boy. There's a reason that 482 of you are in here right now, which that's a large number for 4 p.m. Maybe we need to continue to do that. Let me say this to all of you right now. Listen to your boy. You got at minimum, if you're gonna do it, you gotta rotate him. We got a long way to go. I'm not saying you don't start him because Grant Delpit started game 1. I'm not saying don't start him. He's gonna have to have that meteoric type rise like Grant did in August if you're gonna do that. I understand what everybody's saying. However, if you think it's bad with Sage or whoever you think it's bad with, I will just tell you, look, Lincoln Riley will attack. And you can think that USC sucks. You can think they're no good. Listen to your boy on this. Don't play around with him. Guys, offensively, they did not suck. They're not going to suck offensively this year. Zachariah Branch is still there. I think Miller Moss can be really good. Their quarterback. Don't play around with them. I do think that it is a hell of a task to ask a kid, a freshman, to come in there and do that. Now, do I think that Deshaun McBride would hold his own? Yes, I do. I think he is here's my God's honest opinion. Because of already what I've seen right now, even through spring, I thought he was the biggest ball hawk in not only Louisiana, arguably the country last year. He is a coverage dude. He can make plays. So, again, I get what everybody is saying. Believe me, I get what everybody is saying. So, yeah. George says 18 needs to go to Josh Williams. I agree. Axel F says, please continue for 4 p.m. Good to see you in here, Axel. I know that we and you had a very spirited debate. I love the debate. Guys, if I'm passionate about a debate, I'm not mad at anybody. You'll know if I'm mad. But Axel, good to see you in here. We'll talk about it. I do think that we'll continue to go live earlier in the day throughout the spring because my man, Ben is starting T-ball, man. My little boy is starting T-ball. Got his cap and jersey yesterday. He went full LeBron Miami on us. Full LeBron in Miami. He's wearing number 6. Wearing number 6. Can you believe it? Off the wall question. We don't talk Pelicans really on this one. He says, can Pelicans win tonight? I do not. Here's what I'm going to say. Can they? Yes. LeBron's on that team. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop with the LeBron hate. Y'all got to stop with the LeBron hate. I know you don't like his politics. It is what it is. I don't care what you think about his politics. But when it comes to being a freak, that dude, yeah, man. Yeah. Mike T says he likes this time slot too. I can listen to the show while I cook dinner. Okay. All right. Very much duly noted. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think there'd be this many people in here. Maybe we can make a little bit of a change. We're going to test it out this spring. That's for sure. All right. Let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those social media groups. Share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate you doing that. Let's talk about our good friends at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, our good friends over at J&J Exterminating. By the way, I saw that there was a lot of termites now entering the state of Louisiana. There is nobody better to call than our good friends over at J&J Exterminating. Let them know that Blake sent you on by. It might give you a little bit of a discount. Call them today. I promise you're not going to regret it. Stay with us. We got lots of LSU football we got to talk, and we'll talk some LSU baseball at the end. Really fired up. Let's do it. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. All right. Derwin says there's no more bourbon at 4 p.m. though. Excuse me. Says whomst. Says whomst. Well, let me say this. Your boy, people told me to stop talking about it. I'm actually 30 plus days sober. So, yeah, no, Bourbon Blake might not be here for a little bit. I am trying to hit some health goals here. Working out, trying to lose some weight here. So it is what it is. All right. So I know that it has been the topic of conversation, especially today now that the transfer portal has officially opened. I know what LSU fans are going to do. They're going to continue to do it. Everybody that hits the portal that has a pulse that can play here, they are going to say, come on down to LSU, especially like when a Louisiana kid like Greedy Vance, who might need to look and see if he can come to LSU, just throwing that out there, or guys like Trevante Citizen. I understand that there are guys that you want on this team, but here's the thing. As of right now, which this is going to change, and it could change during the show, there are going to be people from LSU that are going to hit the portal. It's not right now, and it hasn't been right now. But, guys, they have 14 days. And I still believe that the portal is going to take off to some extent in the next couple of hours, days, at least within the next 14 days. That is for sure. Here's what I believe that LSU needs, though, on their team. Now, I understand what Brian Kelly said. And that might be the positions that they only are position and defensive tackle that they only go after. Let me start off with this. There is a lot of defensive tackles that have already entered the portal today. I think that they're already evaluating them, or I think that they're already looking to see some of the guys that they could bring in. And I already do believe that they are getting some guys that need to come to campus. Defensive tackle is a position that we're going to have a whole different segment on. Let's see some of the offers that Bo Davis and Brian Kelly dish out. before we start getting there, because what I don't want to do is there's so many defensive tackles that are entering the portal. I don't want to talk about something if it's not going to be realistic. Let's see the kids get the offer, and if there's some buzz around some of these guys, then we will talk about it. But there are other positions that I personally believe, as today starts, that LSU needs. Now, you know my feelings about running back. Now, we talked earlier, and if in case you missed it, just go look at Wilson Alexander's tweet from the Advocate. There is a court case that, or a date that the Trey Holly case is going to have, that being July 3rd in a status conference. We talked about it. Status conference basically is the defendant and the prosecutors are going to meet. They're going to have a discussion. I've told you what I think is going to happen in that process. Trey Holly pleads no contest. He gets the status from LSU that he can be reinstated. I think that there is a strong possibility he can come back. The question will be, how does that timeline play out? Because a lot of times, like I told you last week, things like this continue to get kicked. The can gets kicked down the road sometimes when it comes to legal proceedings. I will start off with this. I do think LSU needs another running back. But here's the big but and big if. If it ruffles feathers with commits like Harlan Berry, JT Lindsey, I don't know, Caden Durham, I don't know how you maneuver all of that. I do think, and still will be, very, I don't want to say worried, because I still think that you have three backs in Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, and Josh Williams that can play and be pretty much high level in what you need to win and get into a national spotlight and get into a playoff spot. But I just feel like at that position, you do have so many people that hit the portal. I mean, so many people that get injured, which means that you might need to go and enter the portal. I talked about this at length. I would have a serious discussion about getting somebody, if it presents itself, that you go after. I do think that Florida is going to be a player here. I don't know if they will be, but they also need a running back, and I think that there's a connection already there with Billy Napier and Trevante Citizen. So I don't know if he will come here. I do think that Florida really needs a running back, and they will go after him. The bottom line for me is it's pretty simple. You see so many times, like you did last year, guys, what if you're in a game with two scholarship running backs? And it's not as if that both of those guys or two of those guys can be workloads. And what if, God forbid, knock on wood, Caleb Jackson is out of a game and you're relying on Josh Williams, you're relying on Caden Durham and a walk-on. I just think that you need to find a way and calm everybody down and figure a way to get somebody there that can benefit you when you need to. Maybe they move somebody. Maybe they give somebody that's on scholarship some running back reps, see how that works. But I just don't know how I feel about that. Number two, it's a position that we don't talk about, and it's a position that we didn't mention yesterday. But the conversation was brought up today because Notre Dame's punter entered the transfer portal, and for whatever reason, guys, his name is not in the notes. This is what happens when we go live at 4 instead of at 7. Brent McPherson. Okay. I do think that you need a punter, and I think that you need a punter now. There's nothing that I have seen that would lead me to believe that you are good enough on special teams punting the football. I don't think you were good last year. I think Jay Bramblett got worse. Now, he didn't have to punt a lot last year because your offense was so good. But, guys, you're going to need somebody that can flip field position. We don't ever talk about it. Ever. Never talk about it. But if you go look in the spring game and how bad some of those punts were, guys, they were the exact same every time that we went out to practice. Not just in scrimmages, every time we went to practice. I'm going to give you a thought, and it's not something that anybody ever talks about. You know who was infamous for getting punters that could flip the side of the field and win games for him? Nick. Now, I could say Nick because you know that last name comes with Saban. Guys, like, do you remember J.K. Scott? Do you remember all the times that they would have? Now, there was that one year, what was it, 2019, where they had to go get a walk-on kid from out of the stands to punt. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. 1 year in 17 years, he had a bad position group at punter. Nick always got guys that would flip the field because he knew deep down defensively that they could make the plays, and he would coach his way to making those stops. You don't have a punter, not one that is good enough to play here. Now, that is unfortunate. I like some of the kids, even some of the walk-ons that are at that position. They're not good enough, or they're not presenting or kicking good enough. It's just a position that we don't talk about. Now, there is a punter that you have a connection with. 1,000% a punter that you have a connection with. Let me pull this kid's profile up. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Bryce McPherson, excuse me. But Bryce McPherson, as an example, last year punted 45.1 yards per punt for Notre Dame. Brian Kelly also recruited him. I know that, it's ironic that position could be two transfer portal guys from Notre Dame. You need him. Now, I don't know if that LSU is a massive player here right now. They need to be. They need to be. Guys, you averaged less than 40 yards per punt last year. You need this kid. Just FYI, you can be at the 20 and getting a 45-yard punt per average, light years amount of difference. So I know it's not a position group that we talk about all the time. We talk about defensive tackle all the time. I do think that you need another corner. I think you need, if there is an experienced corner, and in that experienced corner has playing time, I think you need to go get him. Now, there is a kid out there in Greedy Vance that you can go and get. He's got Louisiana ties. And I know that there may be some people inside that building that might like him. They don't know if he can play here, but they do like him. What have you seen from your secondary that gives you hope that they can correct things? Let me tell you this, and this was the reason that I wanted to go into Ruffino's rants, because for whatever reason over the last 3 days, I've been getting tattooed by LSU fans. Blake, you don't like Sage Ryan. You don't like this guy. You don't like that guy. That's not remotely the case. Guys, how many times can you be vanilla and blow coverages? Everybody wants to argue with me, Blake, it's a spring game. Blake, it's a spring game. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new coaching staff. I'm with you on all of that. I'm not going to overreact. I didn't come out of Saturday saying, hey, Garrett Nussmeier is going to win a Heisman. Yesterday on Ruffino and Joe show, we did our top 5 quarterbacks in the country. Did not put Garrett Nussmeier on there. But the bottom line is, when you're vanilla and you're blowing coverages, by the way, so was the offense for LSU. They ran a fade route in cover 2. You cannot, or what you believe cover 3, regardless of what the coverage is, you cannot have busted coverages when you're that vanilla. You can't, guys, you just cannot. So I will continue to tell you, I do think that you need a corner. And not a corner that had, like a Carmani Mlan as an example. I think you need an experienced corner. You know who I think you need? I think you need a guy like Jarek Bernard Converse. That's exactly who I think that you need. Jarek Bernard Converse got beat a couple times. Yeah, I know that. But he also had a pick against Bryce Young in the end zone. You know why? Experience. He was talented and experienced and knew how to get things done. He also had the bat down in overtime or before overtime that led to Alabama getting the field goal for you to go into overtime. Guys, there was a reason in 2022 that you won and did some good things defensively. You had boundary corners that were experienced but talented. You have a roster full of DBs that are extremely talented. I still believe that. I still believe that you have a room that has a lot of playmakers in it. What you don't have is that third, fourth year guy that's played a lot of football. And you're relying on guys, and you're thinking that guys are extremely good. They're so good. Okay, maybe they are, and maybe that they will be. But you do need somebody with experience who knows a thing or two and has been around the block. Even if he doesn't play. Because if he's got to come in and spell, well, I don't know if Zy Alexander is going to be ready. I don't know if J.K. Johnson is going to stop being injury prone. What I do know is that there are corners that are going to hit the portal that have a lot of playing time and experience. That is not going to be something that a lot of people agree on. I still think Ashton Stamps is good. I love P.J. Woodland. I love Zy Alexander. And he could be that guy for you when he returns from injury that I'm specifically talking about. Because he tore his ACL midway through a year. He's not going to be cleared completely for full contact come August. And if he does, they're still going to limit him. Unfortunately, there are guys on this roster that cannot play here. And as much as it would pain me to say, just as much as it's the transfer portal day, it's also cut day. And some guys are going to have to walk. It's unfortunate. I don't like it. But it's the nature of the business. If we just want to rip the Band-Aid off, guys, there will be people that Brian Kelly cuts this week. Now, it might not be announced. You might not see it, whatever. But it will be. All right. Ryan Mayer says, let's get to a couple of your questions. Says, with Corey Raymond, think he would be good for LSU? Are you talking about Greedy Vance? No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't believe that he is. But here's the thing, Ryan, with all due respect to Corey Raymond. I challenge everybody, so there's 490 of you in here right now. I challenge each one of you after the show to go watch Florida spring game. Our good buddy Gator Dave today on Twitter, he said portal needs that Florida, like of the transfer portal, who are some guys that Florida needs? Like damn near the first two he said, corner safety. Florida's secondary is horrible. I literally rewatched their spring game today. Their secondary is horrible. So I will just say, I think that there needs to be a conversation. Maybe, you're going to have to take guys that have experience. Maybe they're not your prototypical 6'2", 185 pounds, 190 pounds, 200 pounds. But you need dudes that have been in the fire. That's one at corner, I mean. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least you're giving yourself a chance. I don't think that there's only one position group that you should attack. I legitimately don't. I think there's three-ish. DT, corner, and running back. So, yeah. Charles Master says, certainly it seems that BK is not worried based on this statement, and LSU will need to let go of some individuals. I don't know if he's not playing poker. Maybe he isn't. Maybe that's all that he's going after. I will just tell you, and like I said earlier, I agree. I could see that and can't agree with it. This is what I think that they need. So when you go into a game next year with 3 scholarship running, guys, it's going to happen. There's going to be a game next year, and let me put an asterisk by this. Unless Trey Holly comes back, and maybe even if Trey Holly comes back, if Trey Holly, let's just say argument's sake, doesn't come back for the month of September for whatever reason, I still think that you're going to go in a game, maybe 2, where you have 2 scholarship running backs, and that worry, like, guys, it gives me an upset stomach. It might be the most white thing I've ever said. It makes my tummy hurt. Gives me the bubble guts. I don't like that at all. At all. Because then, if for whatever reason you have an injury, then you really are one injury away from having 1 scholarship back in Malachi Lane. Now, maybe they think that Malachi Lane can do some things. Maybe that is the truth. And maybe he can. I don't know. But the likelihood of Josh Williams happening again is not likely. Guys, walk-ons do not – the Josh Williams story is just so rare. Like, think of the 20 years – of the 20 years, how many guys were walk-ons that were Josh Williams at LSU? Not many. Not many. 504 TD100 on YouTube. Why would LSU want Citizen? I don't know if they would. We got to stop this just because a kid is from Louisiana. I'm not going to completely agree with that. Oh, and punter. Yeah, thank you, guys. And punter. I don't think that the Gervonta Citizen thing is about him being from Louisiana. I think it helps when a kid from Louisiana goes into the portal, right? Like, I really do think it helps you when someone goes into the portal. But what I would say is I don't think that would be like, for example, if the Trey Holly thing hadn't happened, none of us would be talking about running back. I do think, let me continue to say this because this gets lost. I do think Trey Holly is going to be back. What worries me is that he's not back in the start of the season and this gets prolonged. A new piece of evidence comes up. A key witness steps forward. Guys, people lie on the stand every day. Break the law every day under oath. You think every mafioso during the Giuliani days were telling the truth? People lie on the stand all the damn time. Oh, this guy, yeah, he knew. Yeah, I saw him shoot. I was standing right next to him. That shit doesn't happen. Javon Jackson says, how do you feel about LSU taking Carmani Mlan? Thank you, Javon, for the $199 super chat. Here's how I would feel. Or here is how I feel. I wouldn't do it. Let me tell you why. Now, there's 2 parts of this. Stay with me for the entire thing. So, Javon, hold on. Here's how I feel about Carmani Mlan. Number 1, I do not feel like Deion Sanders knows how to put a roster together. I legitimately don't. Guys, he has more kids coming in and out of the portal more than he changes underwear or sunglasses. I don't think Deion is necessarily efficient to build a roster. That's number 1. Number two is, of all coaches in the country that would let Carmani Mlan walk, Deion would be the last unless there's some issues. Here's what's probably going to be labeled on the kid, and I don't know. If he is a locker room issue, which, by the way, Deion was asked last year. Now, go look this up. Deion was asked about Carmani Mlan last year during the season. I would encourage everybody to go and listen to what Deion had to say. If Deion says that he was a cancer there, no, I would not. On our team, if he went to a place like Ohio State, if he went to a place like Georgia, they will get it into either he will fit. He's going to adapt himself to their culture, or he's going to get cut. There are only a handful of teams right now. I do think that you are in more of a culture building, rebuilding on defense. I do think that culture last year defensively was fractured. Let me give you an example. I don't mean to poo-poo on this kid. I told you what was going to happen when Denver Harris got here. No, I got so much shit behind the Denver Harris thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, man, hey, man, what did I tell you? I'm not going to do that. I do think that this defense needs the least amount of toxicity around. Now, if you go after the kid and you do get him to sign here for whatever reason, even though I don't know if you will, but let's just say hypothetically you did go after him, you got to make sure that he's not a locker room issue. And if he's not, and you're convinced that he's not, then you take him. But there are a lot of things that would have to transpire because you just did this a year ago. And there's one thing that I am telling you that cannot happen specifically on defense. You cannot have toxicity. You're looking for a leader on defense right now. If someone who is cancerous comes into that locker room, is there anybody on that defensive side that will check his ass? Because there wasn't a lot of people last year that would check Denver Harris. Denver Harris running out in the field talking a whole bunch of shit of, versus Grambling? Dog, you were getting beat versus Grambling. One-on-one, Denver Harris was getting beat against Grambling. Mr. Blake, he was a midseason freshman All-American. I don't give a shit. When you legitimately have culture issues, no, I would not. No, I would not. Oh, by the way, I see this from Chris. Deuce Chestnut was another one last year too. No, I do not. You would have to be fully convinced. See, what we look at in the transfer portal, and this happens every year, what we look at is specifically how the kid can play on the field. And I get that. The being on the field part is a big deal. And what some people will hear what I just say or what I just said, they will think, well, Blake, you can fix that. You can fix this. You can fix that. Bullshit. You can fix it. The only person that can fix their own character is themselves. Shout out to my lovely wife, Megan, too. Y'all see this cup? I have no idea who made this cup. This is not an official sponsorship, but I'm going to smile and take a picture so my wife, I'm going to send this to my wife. She'll be happy that her gift that she gave me. By the way, I have the best wife of all time. Best wife of all time. But look at this lovely gift. I'm going to take a screenshot of that and send it to her, and I'm getting myself some brownie points tonight. You young married people, when your wife does, or your girlfriend, or just your partner does something nice for you, show them that it matters to you. No, not second best. Not second best. Sneaker King says McLean is great value, Denver Harris, attitude-wise. And if that's the case, then no, you cannot take him. You simply cannot take him. Titus says it's not an issue. Prime is the issue. Here's what Titus, I will agree with you about this. I literally do not believe that Deion knows how to build a roster correctly. I really don't. He's going portal. He has forgotten about high school recruiting. And let me tell you, I don't know if Deion's going to be at Colorado next year. So, you know what my biggest worry, like everybody talks about Deion this, Deion that, Deion this, Deion that. If I'm a team in the SEC, there's no way that I'm getting Deion to be my next head coach. No, I thought that when he went to Colorado, he wanted to get a lot of those guys out there because he didn't think he could win. And that's fair. It was what it was. Guys, look what he's doing right now. Refusing to go in home. He says, I'm Deion. I ain't got to go in home to do in-home visits. All right. And you going to get your ass beat in recruiting every single year. You got to recruit high school-wise. You have to. I'm going to be real with you. I think Deion's a lazy recruiter. I think he's lazy. There, I said it. Prime is only concerned with his sons and Travis, my guy. I don't disagree with that. But let me say this about Carmani Mlan. Carmani sat last year because he wasn't going to class. And he got suspended. So that's not on Deion. Like, guys, that's not me saying that whatever. I don't even think that's really Deion. We know that he wasn't going to class. Because the kid remember the Instagram story he put out? He goes, fuck that class. And then he deleted it. Fuck that class. All right, well, you can sit your ass on the bench too. I didn't know that this was going to be a Carmani Mlan show, but it was what it was. It was what it was. So a big day in the transfer portal. We'll keep you up with all the news. You know what's crazy? I don't think. Here's what's crazy. Miami is the team to watch for Oregon State running back Damian Martinez. So the big-time Oregon State running back and Javonte Citizen hit the portal. If I'm frank, I do think – here's what I was saying into this before we get to some baseball, before we get out of here. I do think if there is one kid that you could tell – Harlem Berry, Caden Durham, JT Lindsay, James Simon. I don't know. Cut James Simon out of there. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Caleb Jackson. If there was a kid that you could get for depth, and that could be a rotational piece to some extent, it would be Javonte Citizen. Because you could say the kid's from Louisiana, he wants to be here. He's going to have to work to play. And I think he would solve a lot of problems. The problem with Javonte Citizen is I don't think he's coming here. I think he's going to Florida. Now, I could be wrong about that. Juan says, I agree with Titus. Those kids not going to Colorado for school. Well, they better. Then Prime forces them to be students. Yeah. Kisma, a-hole, says, yes, I love your wife. Well, I'm glad you do. I bet you don't have a woman because you're making a fake profile on YouTube and then commenting. How does that make you feel? You probably ain't got no poo nanny probably ever. Gotta be sad for someone in your line of work. Troller. Bailey Jones says thoughts on people calling for Jay Johnson said. You know what? Let's do this. He says, I love you too, bro. Good to have you in here, man. Let's do this. We talked football for an hour. Let me get to some baseball. We have a game tonight. I'll respond to Bailey Jones's question. And can they get things turned around? We'll talk about that next. Let me take a quick break. Let me pay some bills. Before I do that, though, if you own a business or if you know someone that owns a business that would want to sponsor the show, you want to help us out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Tell them to get in contact with us. We're looking for more sponsors. We're continuing doing around your SEC. If you're, not just in one state, but in multiple states, we can definitely do that as well. All right. Let me take a quick break. We're back next. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vicnair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. GMFS Mortgage, they are changing lives. If you're buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing a cash-out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with John Patton today. That is Team Patton today, and let him change your life. Let him know that Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. And our good friends over at Fry Construction and Site Work, Land and Development, oil and gas services, commercial construction, aggregate, and soil hauling, waste containers, they do it all. Give them a call today at 337-457-5100. Tell them Blake sent you on by. All right. LSU plays, what was it, UNO tonight, guys? UNO. And I think that this is an interesting question. Bailey Jones says, Blake, thoughts on people calling for Jay Johnson's head? Does he and should he get fired? All right. Let's talk about this very quickly. The people that are saying that Jay Johnson needs to be fired have missing brain cells. Guys, he legitimately won a national title last year. He coached for a national title some years ago at Arizona. I understand that there is a standard that has to be met at LSU. No one understands that more than Jay Johnson. No one wants to win more than Jay Johnson. I understand some people have compared him to Ed Orgeron. Guys, after that national championship, Ed gave up. Ed didn't care. That is the furthest thing from the truth with Jay Johnson. So, if you are one of the ones that's saying Jay Johnson needs to be fired, here's what you need to do. You need to go to your phone, go to Twitter, delete the app. Then you need to go to Facebook, delete the app. Because you have been banned from talking sports for the next 30 days. And if this continues, you'll get 60 days. Stop the stupidity. Stop the stupidity. Now, Is this season going in the direction that anybody thought it would go? Myself included. No, not at all. Have I hit the panic button on this team? Yes, I have. Because you got Alabama, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Auburn, Missouri. You have 5 series left, and you got to win all of them to get to that magical number 13. There is no margin completely for error for you. You can't be Rudy Poo here moving forward. Can they turn the page? I don't know. They got a game tonight against, what was it, UNO? Am I right on that? Against UNO? If you want to turn your season around, guys, I know it's a midweek. It starts now. But you can't lose a series from here on out. I think Jay is doing everything that he can. He's trying to push every button he can. Do I think that he's made some bad decisions this year? Yes. I do. I think, like, for example, going to Griffin Herring on Saturday and not letting Holman finish the inning. I thought that was the wrong decision. Completely thought it was the wrong decision. Has he kept in guys in his lineup that I think that you need to give somebody else a shot at that position? Yes, I do. But, guys, if there's anybody that knows his team and knows baseball more than any of us, maybe more than any of us combined, it's him. Jay is relentless in his process. Doesn't sleep. Guys, he said, I was listening to him a while back in a postgame show, or one of his postgames. Guys, he lost on a Friday night, I think it was, to Tennessee or Arkansas. He legitimately did not sleep. He said he was outside drinking coffee at 4 a.m. I 100% believe him. You know why? Because of the hotel that they were staying in. When he was down in the lobby drinking coffee, people were seeing him down there, strategizing, thinking of how he can get better, sending staff members to recruit. By the way, most teams do not send people week in, week out, day in, day out in recruiting. Jay is. I think you're an idiot. Now, in reference to the 2 things can be true at once theory. Guys, this weekend, I mean, if you lose this weekend, your season's over because you're not going to – if you can't win a series, you're not going to sweep anybody. You got to start now. I don't know what that team's got to do. If I'm Hayden Travinsky, I'm throwing punches at people if you're not with it right now. I'm serious. Like, hey, man, this is my last year. This could be my last year playing baseball ever. And some of you are ruining it because you don't care. You got complacent. And some people did get complacent after last year after winning a natty, and shame on them. But guys like Griffin Herring didn't. I don't think guys like Bear Jones didn't. So, yeah, I think they're going to win tonight. And if they lose tonight, oh, brother. Brandon says, do you think he missed on recruits? Yes, I do. 100% I do. Hakeem Batiste said championships aren't easy to win. They are not. And guys, I mean, he took another program there, right? It's not like he's been poo-poo. He has not been poo-poo. He has been really good. So, yeah. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank y'all. Y'all said y'all love the 4 a.m. Give me a thumbs up. Do you love the 4 a.m. start time? Maybe we can make an adjustment. We're going to have to start making adjustments. That's for sure. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good one, man. Let's go watch some baseball tonight. Peace.